Happy Sunday, everyone! Welcome back to another week of MMTV. It's Samantha, your favorite host, and I am super stoked to be here in the MMTV room sharing this week's segments with you. Let's jump right into it. We would typically start off with Wesley's question of the week, but unfortunately due to scheduling conflicts, Wesley cannot make a video this week, but no worries because he will be back next week. Starting off this week, we're going to have Veer Patel's with Top 10. There has been talk of the Student Council planning a homecoming for the 2021 year, yet nothing has been confirmed. We will keep you posted as decisions are made. But next up, we have Sam Drucker giving his perspective on video games.
Well, a lowly tarnished, playing as a lord, I command thee now!
Brandish the Elden Ring. For all of us.
Did you know the season of fall officially started last Wednesday, September 22nd? Chillier weather in the beautiful, colorful Berkshires is just around the corner. Continuing, we have Movie Facts with Angus Piggott and Alex Turner, and then The Adventures of the Little Guy, brought to you by Clementine and Quimby's Del Signor. Let's go see.
It is incredible. It has an amazing story supported by great actors and amazing performances. The movie is centered around a truffle hunter who is a former famous chef and his truffle pig. But one unfortunate night, his pig is stolen, goes missing, and he goes on a journey to find his pig. That's what the movie is centered around. It is a surprisingly beautiful film and not what you would expect from a movie starring Nicolas Cage trying to find something that's been stolen from him, right? You should definitely watch it. It's worth it, I'd say at least. But for now, I'd like to talk about a specific scene from the film. This one scene is commonly referred to as the dinner scene, and it is my favorite scene in the entire movie. By the way, spoilers. In this scene, our protagonist has finally met up with the antagonist, the man who has stolen his pig. And throughout the story, we have had little bits of information about him, but they've been important bits of information, right? And along the entire journey, it's the protagonist and the antagonist's son. The scene is drop dead gorgeous. And today I want to talk about why the scene is so perfect to me and how it's so well done. I'll give a little bit of backstory for the scene. So the antagonist, again, I'll say he's taking the man's truffle pig, and I'll also say that the antagonist's wife is practically dead. In a scene early in the movie, she was shown to be bedridden and hooked up to several machines and unconscious. And early in the film, the antagonist's son said that the only time he ever saw his dad and mom happy together were when the two went out for dinner and ate food prepared by one of the best chefs around. This chef, now retired, is our protagonist. And when the antagonist's son tells our protagonist this, he has an idea. This idea is that he's gonna make that same dinner for the man that he made so long ago. And so he just does that. He prepares the dinner for the man and has the man's son help him prepare the dinner. So now I'd like to talk about why this scene is so good to me. In this scene, the antagonist is beckoned by his son to come to the dinner table for dinner. When he arrives and sits down, the protagonist walks in and serves dinner to the man, and the man immediately recognizes it. He is confused at first, but he goes along with the whole dinner, right? And so the man starts eating the food, and you start to see the emotion rise up through his face as he eats the food, and it shows little flashbacks to that dinner that he had with his wife so long ago, and you see him happy in those flashbacks. But in the present, he starts to tear up. You see him very visibly sad and emotional, and he's forced to leave the table, right? The others watch him as this all happened, and you get to see as they react to what is happening. The scene is so perfect because not much is spoken at the dinner table. Not much words are put out. This scene is so good because they follow the golden rule of showing and not telling. The scene would be garbage if the man just stated, "I remember that night. It was very emotional," or he was like, "Right now I am sad because memories, blah, blah, blah." Something stupid like that. It wouldn't work like how they did it here. It is so great how they show it when they show the man eating, and you get to see how he reacts and how the other two in the room react. You witness this seemingly horrible man become human for a moment as emotion rises through him and he becomes vulnerable. It feels much more real and has a bigger effect on the audience because you feel empathy for the man from his emotions, and you see vulnerability in him. He feels human, he feels real, making the scene a perfectly beautiful scene.
How adorable. There are plenty of sporting events coming up at Monument. Check out the school's website for details and come out to support fellow Spartans. Next up, we have Ty McBride sharing this week's student profile. Following, Christopher Paul is keeping us updated with what's happening in our art room.
Hey Diego.
Hey, how's it going, Ty?
It's going well, just doing this interview.
Yep.
How's your day going so far?
It's doing alright,
It's good to hear,
Nothing special.
How are you liking school this year so far?
It's like my last year, I feel kind of pressured to know what I'm supposed to do before I leave, but other than that, it's been alright. I think, yeah, it's alright.
Yeah. So is it difficult adjusting to normal school after the year and a half of an online hybrid curriculum? If so, how?
It kind of has, because I haven't talked to people, like texting or calling, but I haven't really had a face-to-face conversation for a while, and that was kind of difficult getting back into.
Yeah, true.
That was my difficulty.
Yeah, same here. I mean, that was weird. If you could change anything about school this year, what would it be?
The no mask thing. Sometimes mask is uncomfortable, but that's something that school doesn't have control over. That's
yeah,
that's
true.
Other than that, not really. I don't really have many problems with anything.
What's your favorite part of the school day and why?
At the end of the day, I can get to leave. That's probably,
True, yeah. Same here. How do you feel about the amount of homework you are getting? Is it manageable? Is it too much or too little? Do you have plenty of time to get it done?
No, it's alright, honestly. I honestly expected to get more, but I just procrastinate. I think I'm gonna do it later, or I just forget about it because I just do. I don't write anything down. I should start doing it. I should have an agenda, write what I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my opinion.
What's your least favorite part of the school day?
Probably mornings, because I'm not really here, not really mentally here.
Yeah.
I'm remembering my bed, remembering that dream I had, it's still not here.
What are some of your hobbies or interests, and do you feel like you have enough time to do these activities with the busyness of the school year?
I just like being outside, not really I don't like sitting down for long periods of time. I just like being out. And with the school time that I have now, yeah, I can do it. It was a little less than when I was online, but I can still do it. It's manageable, yeah. But it's also still the first month of school, so only time will tell.
Yeah, true. All right, last question. If you could be in one place right now, where would you be?
I'll go to Nevada, bro. See the Grand Canyons and weird mountain ranges that you don't really see here often.
Yes, sir. No, that'd be beautiful. Yeah. All right, Diego. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yep, my pleasure.
So this last week and then this week we're diving into Halloween painting, which we've done for well over 50 years. It's a tradition of bringing around 80 students downtown to paint on paper. Originally it was straight on the glass of the stores downtown. You can choose an autumn scene, a Halloween scene. You can borrow from images and translate it into a Halloween or an autumn scene. A lot of kids in the past used Norman Rockwell, and then changed the illustration into a Halloween-based thought or autumn-based thought. We work on, in our sketchbook, try to develop 4 different ideas, then take one a little bit further, set up a composition for it, and then put it on a larger piece of paper. Then they're submitted. and we select 50 images that go downtown, and we put them on large scale paper that's anywhere from 52 inches square to much bigger or a little bit smaller than that. And it's really quite fun. We spend the day until it's usually done about a week before Halloween, and they're usually up for about a week, and then we take them down.
My grandpa was in the Norman Rockwell, like the lemonade stand, painting, so this is supposed to be him, but Miss Dalton said we needed like a Halloween twist on it, so I'm just adding whatever, like skeleton hands or, I don't know, rips in the shirt, just something crazy, so yeah.
It's really cool being able to walk through the art program. Also, did you know there's currently a push to change Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day in Massachusetts? Now, let's check out some stories as Sarah Cole shares with us fairy tales of old.
Hello, and welcome to Fairy Tales of Old, where every week we discuss and introduce an old fairy tale that's not as well known, and review it as well as provide possible facts. Last week, we reviewed the Japanese tale, The Moon Maiden, the story of a girl born in a bamboo forest to be cherished by an old man and his wife who is sent from the King of the Moon himself. So, let's get into the story. This week, we'll be reviewing a Serbian tale collected in the year 1890 by Albert H. Radislaw. To those who know it, the title is commonly referred to as The Lame Fox, or Laughing Eye, Weeping Eye. In the beginning of The Lame Fox, we are introduced to a scene of a man with one eye always laughing and the other always crying. His 3 sons all wonder the same question. Why is one eye always crying? One by one, they all ask their father in the order of oldest to youngest. When the 2 brothers both ask, their father tosses a knife at them in response. When the youngest goes to ask, the man threatens to toss a knife at him, but the youngest does not act afraid. His father responds, saying, "One eye is always laughing because I'm glad to have sons as obedient as you." The other always cries because at one point I had a vine in my garden. It would pour forth buckets of wine every hour, and by the end of the day I would have 24 full buckets of wine. But now someone has stolen it from me. The youngest goes to tell his brothers what their father told him. They immediately set off on a journey to find the stolen vine. On the way, they separate down different paths. When the youngest is by himself, a fox comes to him, asking for some food. The brother feeds him, and the fox asks what he's doing out by himself. The boy explains to it that someone stole his father's vine, so he is on a journey to bring it back so his eye will no longer cry. As a thank you for feeding it, the fox leads the boy to the keeper of his father's vine, telling him that when he finds it there will be 2 shovels to dig it up, but to only use the wooden one, because the golden shovel will ring out and wake the guards. The boy agrees to do so, but when he finds the vine, he is so impatient that he uses the golden shovel to dig. The shovel rings out, and the guards capture him and lead him to the keeper of the house. The keeper tells him that the only way he should get the vine would be to go to another man's house and take his golden apple tree. The boy agrees and returns to the fox, who leads him to the next house. There the fox tells him to use a wooden stick to retrieve the tree, and not the golden one. But the boy disobeys, and he is brought to the master of the house, who tells him the only way he would retrieve the golden apple would be to bring him a golden horse. This pattern continues 2 more times, and the second time the boy is told to find a golden woman. When they find her, the fox tells him it will turn itself into a woman to trick the master of the house, so that he may be able to take the horse for himself and keep it. The fox and the boy do this for every master of the house, turning into a horse and an apple tree and taking everything they were set to attain. By the end, the boy is able to bring home a woman, a horse, an apple tree, and his father's vine, and his father is so happy that both eyes smile brightly once again. This story, I have to say, is not one of my favorites I've read. It's redundant and very long in its reading, but if you'd like to read the full thing, I'm sure if you were to look online you could find it. There are some pieces I wasn't able to include because it was so long. I hope you enjoyed today's story, and I'll see you next time on Fairy Tales of Old.
My women's football team won the last home game on Friday the 24th against Athol with a score of 14-0. The last home football game is coming up on Friday, October 15th. Next up, we have Julia with this week's current events, and following, Kaden with national sports news. Due to the current pandemic, the school district is offering free breakfast and lunch to every single student. Sign up for lunch with your second period teacher to take advantage of this great opportunity. All right, enjoy this new segment brought to us by Carmen, Heidi, and Adriana. They're grouping up and introducing us to historical sites in Guatemala. And continuing with our theme, we have Wilbur and Pedro sharing Guatemalan soccer player profiles. They have completed phase 1 of the road construction on the entrance to the driveway. We will give you more information as we receive it. And last but never least, we have Mia Wade and Dakota Massey with TV show reviews.
Hello and welcome back to TV Reviews. Today I'm doing a review with Dakota Massey. Hello Dakota, how are you today?
I'm good, how about you?
I'm good. Today we are talking about a show that caught teenagers' eyes right when COVID hit.
It's called Outer Banks.
The show is about Outer Banks in North Carolina. There are two sides of the island, the rich known as the Kooks and the poor known as the Pogues.
There is a group of 4, 3 are Pogues and 1 is a Kook, even though she doesn't think of herself as a Kook.
Their names are John B. Rutledge, who is played by Chase Stokes, Key, played by Madison Bailey, JJ, played by Rudy Panko, and Pope, played by Jonathan Davis.
The group thinks they know where to find the gold that a boat was supposed to bring over, but it sunk. The boat was called the Royal Merchant.
The most popular kook, named Sarah Cameron, is played by Madeline Klein. Sarah wants to get away from her life. She has her life is pretty plain. She seeks an adventure where she meets up with John B. and they fall for each other, and she starts to become friends with the Pogues.
But Sarah and her new friend, the Pogues, keep looking for the gold.
Now that you've got the basics of seasons 1, I think we should talk about the show. I personally like the show. It's funny but also understands teenagers, where a lot of shows try to but fail. They also know how to blend the serious and goofy moments to keep the flow and feel natural. Other shows tend to try to do it, but it makes it rather uncomfortable with how we are supposed to react.
It's a really good cast, as they aren't trying so hard, but it is noticeable. But they are putting in the work and effort to make a good show. The chemistry that the cast really helps bring out the chemistry in the show. In the show, the 4 Pogues are supposed to be best friends and have been for years. Even though the cast met each other a little bit before meeting, the chemistry is just as strong.
Also, the background of the shots are beautiful. The poor, you can tell, don't live in luxury, and the rich live where we dream we could. The sunsets they use, or the shots of them on the boat, is crazy. You could tell that they filmed it in a real world and they kept the nature the way it is.
The only flaw, I think, is the travel distance. I saw it a lot when booking on the internet. People from North Carolina talked about how it's that quick of a ride from the island to the mainlands of North Carolina. Other than that, it's a great show for teens, and I definitely recommend.
I recommend it as well, and you can find it only on Netflix. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
That wraps up our MMTV show of the week. Thank you as always for supporting us. We truly appreciate everything, including your opinions. So as always, if you have any suggestions, you can email them to monument.tv2021@gmail.com. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Tune in next week, same time, same channel. Have a great weekend. This is Samantha Goody for MMTV signing off.